and welcome to another Pi Live Q&A. Today we are joined by Jay Schnorr, CEO and co-founder at VEDX.io. VEDX stands for Virtual Education Exploration. They focus their efforts on recruitment, language acquisition, career exploration, and developing a marketplace, the GXRA, for educators and learners. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Melissa, for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to need you to give us a brief overview about what all that meant and means
Yeah,
and your
sure,
role at the company.
sure. So my name is Jay Schnorr, CEO and co-founder of VEDX Solutions. We are a global XR company focused in education. At the end of the day, our founders all came from 10 years of international recruitment across the world. We traveled to 52 countries and met with hundreds, thousands of students for different universities. And we got together and thought about access for students, access for teachers, access for education, because what we did realize was that a lot of the students we were recruiting could afford to go abroad, but XR technologies are allowing a new level of access globally, flattening it so more people can take part in an international education. And we, as international recruiters, were really excited about that. So we dove in and we focused our efforts on 4 different platforms. One of those platforms was for language acquisition, and another one is for university recruitment. Uh, and along with that, we're developing hubs all over the world at agent offices so that they will actually have the goggles to work with students and show the universities out there that have programs. So that's second one, and the third one is career exploration here in the U.S. and what that looks like, what it means to be a veterinarian or an accountant, etc. The fourth is an academy platform where we allow students to come learn and take XR courses from our university partners that we sign up, and we allow our partners and teachers to submit classes to us to be posted out for learners to take in XR. And hopefully, down the roadmap, we will have the ability for them to create their spaces too while they do that. So exciting times. Really excited to be here today. And those are the 4 platforms, kind of what we're focused on globally.
Oh, wow, really cool. Yeah, I like the idea around access to study abroad. And, we all know that this can be expensive. So the
Mhm.
whole thing. So bringing it into somebody's life like that through VR is kind of, yeah, it's a cool concept. I feel like, um, oh gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I wanted you to tell us about sort of what you're doing in Panama,
Uh-huh.
for example.
Yeah.
So I know you guys are running a program with EC, and you're teaching 26
Mhm.
students English in virtual reality for 6 months. Can you tell us about this and give us feedback and how it's been going so far?
Sure. I mean, part of what we have been doing is partnering with some of the best VR companies in the world to put together these projects. The Panama proof of concept was taking 26 university students. 20 of them were actual students at the university, and 6 of them were professors. They were checking it out. Ifaru does a lot for language acquisition for their students, and so this was a bit of a proof of concept for 6 months with VR to see what would work, what wouldn't. They were enrolled for 5 days a week, taking both combination of online course and a virtual reality follow up for those days. So super interesting findings that came out of that. I think one of the most important ones that we noticed early on was that students learning in VR are more likely to participate in ways that they might not, even with the virtual space, because it's easier to talk with your avatar than it is, I think, with a video screen where you feel intimidated. And same thing with the language learning. I'm sure if anybody went to the previous session with the Immerse Me crowd, their platform is one of the places out there that allows that learning to take place. So it was a great experiment. We learned a lot, and we're continuing on now with the next phase of that development.
And you also partner with agents, right, across Latin
Hmm.
America. How does that work? How do you work with agents? Because I know we have a lot right now watching and
Yeah,
on Grip.
ab- absolutely. So, like I said, those four pillars that kind of hold us up, language acquisition, university recruitment, marketplace, and careers. Uh, the agents come into play because right now the agent market is I would say it's under a big phase of change. And this COVID has forced everybody virtual to use virtual tools, etc. So what we're doing is we're signing select agency agreements in different cities of the world and working with them to build out their business and marketing in virtual reality. And we're actually investing and hopefully creating a hub in that city for virtual reality. And then on the university side, we're signing university partners that are running XR programs, but also want to run XR recruitment in those agent offices. So we've put together sort of this model that promotes XR education out of agent offices.
Okay, yeah, we just obviously heard a whole session, a whole Q&A about language learning, acquisition, and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. But this is interesting about virtual reality when it comes to recruitment and the agency side. So how does that work? Do you create the whole experience for the agent to make them feel like they're in their own office with their own branding? What does that look like?
So it's actually twofold. One, we give them a two-dimensional platform called Bubble, and that two-dimensional platform is a new VR or new um, kind of Zoom for Classroom space that will be our link into the 3D world in the future. And then we work with the agent to produce sort of a fair inside of VR, but not what you've seen before. This is where they literally have a XR space, and we're working with Multiverse Future Tech Labs to build out that space. It's exciting because you can have 9 kids in there from all over the world looking at these universities. The university rep can join in live as an avatar, or they can join in and give a live session over a large lifelike screen about the university, and then have the follow up with them too. Every 2 weeks going forward, we will be doing an educational event inside of Multiverse, international scholarships, visa apps, reps for UK, US universities, maybe some Canada and Australia, depending on if you follow up and see where those go in the next few weeks. But that's sort of what we're doing. We're allowing them to bring students in by appointment. So, for instance, on the 27th in Quito, one of the agents will be having 5 students come in at a time every half hour, and they'll be looking at the universities. These ones will be into universities that are allowing the students to view the 360 video of the university, talk to a rep, and then do follow up. So I think it's going to be a really exciting day.
I know one of your goals is to have a major hub. You kind of alluded to this before you talked a bit about it, but a major hub
Mhm.
for virtual reality located in every major city of the world. Wow. Can you tell me
Yeah,
more
yeah.
about what that looks like? Yeah. And who would
Abs-
these serve in our
yeah.
industry?
Yeah, absolutely. This last
Yeah.
year has taught us a lot. The challenging part about XR education, students, and the industry in general is getting the hardware, right? Shipping the hardware individually, reselling it in a space that doesn't, that Oculus or another hardware provider doesn't say is okay. But what we can do is create these hubs, sort of like if you think of an Apple store. And you think about an agent that is forward thinking, has the great marketing, and that we've developed a good relationship with over the years. So we're picking that hub, and we're starting with the ability to use this bubble platform to trial a goggle or two, and to uh, use a new language platform in there to work with their students and build their business. And then we want to expand that into a space where students know they can go get virtual reality tours.
One example you wrote to me about was Snow College, a junior
Oh
college in
yes,
Utah.
so that
Yeah.
so
Can you tell us,
we signed
yeah, a little bit more?
yeah, we sign the agents on one side, right, and trying to create these hubs in the cities. And then on the other side, we have these universities that have some really innovative new programs. Snow College, one of the number one transferability colleges in the United States, is interested in taking what they already have as an innovative associate's degree online for high schoolers. So, like, if you're a junior in high school and you're in Panama, you can begin your U.S. university classes with this degree that Snow is offering, and we are making it VR enabled. So lots of online degrees can't do science pieces because they need laboratories. And so we're working with Snow to build a content into their online degree for being able to offer it in VR. Additionally, usually online degrees don't have that social and emotional contact of the students involved in the degree. But with our platforms, both the two-dimensional and three-dimensional spaces, we are bringing those online degree students together to work together beyond just Zoom.
Yeah. And so can you tell us a little bit how the technology that you're working with is beyond Zoom?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so right now, I mean, look at here we are. We've got a background, etc. That's fun. But one of the two-dimensional spaces bubble that we are connecting into our three-dimensional space, Multiverse and Remio, the people we've been working with very closely for the recruitment side. The bubble platform allows for a whole school to have classrooms, different classrooms, and different material put into those classrooms, and students to come to those spaces perpetually to meet. And then we can replicate that inside of virtual reality in the same manner. So we working to create those same types of spaces for schools that want them in virtual reality.
Um, I have already some questions from the audience. I'm going to start with ones because we're talking about schools and learners. This one from Valeria Lopez. Can you design classes for complete beginners, or is it better to offer VR for those with an intermediate standard?
It's a great question.
That's interesting.
Like I said, we're developing our own stuff, but we also collaborate closely. And one of the partners we collaborate as a strategic partner across the U.S. is Victory XR. And Victory XR and us can assist anybody for either beginner or intermediate classes. So when you're saying, can you design classes for complete beginners, or is it better to offer VR for those with an intermediate standard? Um, I was thinking about this question. Is she referring to Claire? Are you referring to language, or are you referring to VR labs?
I think possibly language. It was from Valeria. Yeah, I think it was
Hmm.
language she's referring to.
Yeah, for the language stuff, I would, one of the things we noticed is inside of VR, complete beginners struggle a little bit, but that's getting a lot better depending on the platform and class. So I would say that it is for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. I think probably the intermediate and advanced get the ability to talk more. But the beginner, I think they feel less uncomfortable because of the avatar situation.
Hmm, interesting. There's a question here about the multiverse from Amy Baker. How
Yeah.
significant is the multiverse going to be?
Well, the Multiverse is a specific brand put out by Future Tech Labs. Everybody's talking about the metaverse, and that's come to encompass everything in VR, and that's kind of strange. Really, the way I see the multiverse and why multiverse is pretty exciting, and you can download the app for free, by the way, and attend our educational events every 2 weeks. But the multiverse really allows portal doors to go between worlds. So multiverse doesn't just care about its app. It wants to bring in other apps to its world. So I could be sitting here with you, and then I'm going to jump over to another app, but I maintain my sort of avatar or space. And I think that's where it's going. And people are talking about the metaverse, but I think multiverse is as close to a metaverse as there is out there, even though everybody claims to have one.
This is a good one. What support do you offer your partners in terms of starting to use your services? What kind of investment
Mhm.
does it take in terms of staff resource?
Let's see. Let me think about this. What support do you offer your partners in terms of starting it? Yeah, so all of the agents, so we have the agents on one side and the universities on the other side, right? Bringing those two
Mhm.
together and the students. On the agent side, as partners, we are there to support them from beginning to end. I mean, I personally, from being in the industry for 10 years, when I work with an agency, they become my almost like my true partners, right? Business partners. I believe in long-term relationships, and our whole company feels the same way. That's why we're also very selective. We're have an application process. We're very selective on the agents we're bringing in. They have to have been in business for a while, and probably we've come across them already uh, uh, in our past recruitment lives.
Yes, totally. I guess my question also, I think I asked you this prior to the call, was are they embracing it, agents
Oh, mm.
and yeah, what's the feedback been from agents?
Yeah, the agents are super excited about it. U for You out of Quito is really excited about having this event. We have just set up 10 official agents across Latin America and Brazil to get them using the bubble space to build their virtual counseling programs. We've got them using the Immerse Me language program to go with that, which is a little bit different than Immerse. But an Immerse Me language is where students can practice with a video on the 2 dimensions. They don't have to be in 3 dimensions in the platform. So obviously it's better, but they can do it on the PC too. And so we've set our 10 agents up for that currently, and they're all trialing it out. And so far, the feedback's been positive. And the next proof of concept is this on the 27th with Quito, Ecuador. So then we'll do another launch and kind of doing all of this in phases.
Interesting. Another question is about how many universities do you think have dabbled in VR? Uh, are they embracing it? This is from Farid.
That's a great question, Fareed. Universities across the world are all dabbling a little bit in VR now. Whether the university recruiter knows it or the dean knows it, a lot of the computer science courses are all dabbling in it, and some of them are very well developed, and some of them are very glitchy. But for instance, we're partnering with UCAM out of Spain, and they have short courses that will be displayed very soon on our Global XR Academy. Come check them out. You can take these in XR, and Pau Guardia from Spain is amazing with UCAM. UCAM is ahead of the curve in Spain for virtual reality. We've met with Unity College here in the U.S., who is also taking XR to the next step, next level. And it's exciting to see. Obviously, ASU and San Diego. I mean, these are all virtual reality programs coming to a door near you. So very exciting stuff. So they are embracing it, to answer your question. And those that aren't should probably start thinking about how they bring their labs online, their science labs. For instance, at Oregon State University, we're talking with the agriculture department, who has never had an online degree, but they want to bring in their brewing and food science so that the students abroad can do real laboratories work with other students on fermenting beer. So I hope that goes through. That'll be really fun.
Oh my God, amazing. But then how do you get to taste the beer?
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. You don't get to taste it until you get there to campus. You know, a lot of this XR education is not to replace degrees. Like, for instance,
Mm.
The Snow College one is to help students save money by getting the first 2 years out of the way. There's a lot you can do online, but there's a lot that traveling to a campus in another country is going to bring you. So it's this sort of convergence right now of legitimacy, virtual reality, technology, and innovation that is bringing sort of a decentralization of education. So students are able to pick and choose and go where they want. And I think that there are some very innovative universities out there that are seeing this and knowing that they've got to integrate themselves into this trend, and then others that are hoping somehow the world's going to go back to the way it was before COVID.
That's a good point about accessibility. You kind of touched on this at the start too. And this is a question from a colleague of mine actually. Is I'm curious, how are you making VR accessible? VR can have a high price point. This is something that can go around about VR. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you, if you're an individual wanting to access education in VR, it's currently limited. That's why we're here to solve that problem. But actually, accessing the hardware is not too expensive. So your Oculus, this one sitting behind me, is
Mm.
$399 US dollars. I mean, people are spending $1,000 on an iPhone, and with an Oculus, or if what I think is better for education is the HTC Focus and Focus 3, because it's not associated with a social media. So I think that Pico and TikTok got together, Oculus and Facebook. But back to your question, for an individual to get into VR is not expensive. For a university to develop VR classes can be expensive, but there's also a light touch, like working with the Victory XR and doing your create your own classes with our help and facilitation, which isn't going to cost you $25,000 a module. Now, if you want to develop your own modules that you own as content and you don't have experts to do it, that's where that price tag can get expensive. But if you want to go with something where you need some help, you've got a couple of professors or teachers that really want to help create the labs, you're going to own those labs. You can record those lectures, but you probably need some help getting them up and moving and running. And that's where VEDX can really help you out and facilitate that light touch all the way to the full content lab dive. So
So it's like a full service VEDX, because I know you guys also describe yourself as a firm, right?
yeah. I didn't have the fifth one in there, which is our consulting part, right? That's where we match up our inquiries with partners and help them meet their objectives. And obviously, we don't charge anything extra because we have partnered with the VR companies of the world to create this firm, this collaboration, where when we bring them together, we're all just a team working together. Whether that is with Engage or Victory XR or with Proteus or Future Tech Labs, all of them. We spent the first 6 months of our company's life just uh, collaborating and building partnerships so we could be where we're at today.
This seems like another technical question, maybe from a teacher. from a teaching perspective, but can you record the students and let them watch back and reflect on how to improve their performance? I think this would be really useful, for example, with language acquisition. What do you think?
You can.
What
There's a lot of privacy concerns out there, but if a school wanted to record their session, they can with the permissions of their students, etc. Again, back to the way the platform is designed and your needs are really important. Coming to that call thinking, I've got these objectives. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there, but I think it would be cool. That's a great start to a first call, and then we can establish what would work best for you.
If you don't mind, I'd love to know how you got into VR. I mean, I know this has been going on for years now. It's nothing new, is it? But how about yourself? How did you get into this whole world?
Yeah. So about 3.5 years ago, there was a senior leadership conference, and I had been exploring virtual reality since 2015, just playing with it. And in fact, when I was recruiting for Oregon State University, we did a virtual reality tour there, and I brought this up as far as a topic for us to all talk about at my previous company, and it got talked about. But I was so passionate, I kept talking to people, and then when COVID hit, it just seemed like the right time. It was everything converged, and I was like, even when COVID ends, what this has done is force people to invest virtually in their programs to be better, to have better access, and to make sure professors and students can come together. And in fact, our advisory board is made up of professors and CEOs from around the world. And one of the professors from University of North Texas, she's amazing. And what she brought to our attention was that we've got to quit calling it user experience, because in virtual reality, it's about the learner experience and the teacher experience and how those two things work together. So the learner teacher experience, the LTX, rather than what they say, the UX, is really important. And for me, when you ask how I got into it, because if I could see a world where those things come together, where students have more access to international education through virtual reality, then I feel like I will have accomplished sort of a lifelong dream of bringing something good to the world.
I love that. I love LTX. Never heard of that before.
Yep.
Did I say that
Coined it
right?
here.
LTX.
Learner teacher experience. And I think we need to really make that a thing, make that a word that is always part of those conversations, because it's got to be easy for the teachers, it's got to be easy for the students, and it's got to save them both time while it engages them deeply in their topic, whether that's recruitment or career exploration or language acquisition.
Mm.
We're just teaching and learning from each other in the Global XR Academy.
I think it's a really good point. I mean, obviously, as we know as Americans, it can be expensive to study abroad, for example. I know
Hmm.
my own program cost a pretty penny. It was invaluable, but making this kind of thing accessible for people or students around the world through this technology sounds great. And like what you were talking about, even covering the first 2 years online or doing something like that, sounds like it could bring all of this to become more
Hmm.
accessible, and that's really important.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah. Last
I'm,
question
I'm,
before we
I'm,
go.
yeah, go ahead. Yep, yep,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, actually, you wanted to drop in just to say, if we can, in the chat. I know you wanted to drop in a document for everybody
Oh,
to check
sure.
all of this out, because obviously talking about it is one thing, but seeing it is even better. So I think somebody's going to drop in there. Yeah, if we'll share that in the
I
chat
got
for
it.
everybody
Yeah,
to see.
I that's a Google Drive just with a little bit of information about what we talked about today. It's a PDF or a PowerPoint, whichever you want to download, and then our information to contact us, of course, here in the Pi and beyond. And I did want to mention one other piece today, and we've talked about multiverses and where that's going, metaverses and education and being expensive or not expensive. I just want to give you a clear kind of idea of One of the spaces we use in Remio for high schools and team meeting spaces is an amazing portal atmosphere, and it's $10 a month. That's it.
Oh,
So,
not
when we're
bad.
thinking about expensive,
Oh,
it is not that expensive if you get the right
yes.
solution for what you want to accomplish. So we could build that
Okay.
space for anybody without any implementation. Oh, done. My timer went off.
Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's a good note to finish on. Not expensive. We can do this. Thank you, everybody. And
Okay.
thank you so much, Jay, for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.